Free Wild World podcasts and vlogs covers people, places, events, and philosophies about life and the universe. This vlog or podcast might contain explicit language or graphic images. Hello Vasek, welcome to my podcast.
Hello Chris.
So we are in Windhoek Farm again and my little studio gallery. Vasek is, I'm speaking to Vasek Matousek today, a local legend. He's been living on the same farm for 20 years and he's an artist as well. But first I'm going to get some official stuff out of the way. If you like this podcast, you can support me at freewildworld.com/support. You can also buy a shirt like this, which is a leopard print shirt, which people like. So I can post it to you anywhere in South Africa. And what else is that? Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. My videos of the podcast will come on the channel at some point. My internet is not fast enough at the moment. I can only put short videos on. Because it's crappy where I stay on the farm, the reception. And I'm waiting for 5G. Can't wait for 5G. I see people making all this big stories about 5G on the internet. I say be careful of what news you listen to and watch on YouTube and on the internet, because lots of those news channels look very legit, but they're just looking for clicks. It's just clickbait. Personally, I believe 5G is a natural progression. In cell phones and current networks are overloaded. We need a new technology, and this is just a natural progression. It's still the same wave, it's just shorter. I'm not a scientist, but I'm cool with it. It's going to make my life as a blogger and a vlogger and a podcaster a lot easier. That's where technology is going. Why resist it? If you disagree, that's fine. Leave a comment. We can discuss it like adults. Anyway, so what else? So subscribe, support me if you want to, share this podcast. And now I'm just gonna start with Vasek. Vasek, first of all, tell me a little bit about your history, where you grew up, and how you got to South Africa.
Well, thanks first that you are willing to do something like this, Chris.
Pleasure.
It's an honor. Cheers. Well, usually when people ask me, where do you come from? Because my accent is just totally different. I always say I was born in Prague. I come from Czech Republic, what used to be Czechoslovakia. But I wasn't actually born in Prague. I was born about 20 kilometers from Prague. But it's much easier to say Prague because at least lots of people know Prague, but nobody would know if I would say the name of the village I was born. And we moved soon out of that village. I was born 1943, so that's last 2 years of the Second World War. We moved to Prague, actually. I grew up. I stayed in Prague till about 17, 18. When do we do maturity, what we call, at 18. So I studied in Prague, in school. I always liked painting. I always thought I'm going to be a painter. And I probably was born painter, But anyway, we had across the road there was a small little shop. They mainly just cut glass. But now and then somebody would exhibit a painting behind it, and I would run across the bridge, flat my nose on that glass, and look at this beautiful painting. Most of the time it was flowers or landscapes. One day I'm going to paint just like this.
Oh, since a small boy you wanted to paint?
Yeah, since a small boy.
Can I ask you something before we continue? Every now and then I'm just going to ask something when it fits into the narrative. What is the politics of Prague in those days?
We were a communistic country under the rule of Russia after the Second War, obviously. We basically became the satellite state of Russia.
So you grew up under communism?
Yeah, under communism.
Okay.
And I had a buddy in a school, funny his name actually, if I should translate it into English, it was a person who eats meat. His name was Maso, which is meat, Yidek, Maso Yidek, and Yid is to eat. So he was Maso Yidek. And he was like,
big guy.
Big little boy. And we often went, they lived in a very big house with big attic. And we often went there to play up there. Scratching this junk, there was so much junk, you can't believe it. And I found a painting. It was a pine forest So I remember it yesterday. Some of the trees were cut, they were lying over the road. That,
In the painting. How old were you then?
Huh?
How old were you then?
What was I? 12?
Okay.
Oh God, I was fascinated by it. And it was painted by a Russian artist who actually is very famous, or was very famous those days. His name was Chepikin. And I started painting landscapes. Bicycle, strapped my little easel on it. I had a lovely little folder where you could shift your canvas in so it didn't get smudged when you open it. And out of town, and I would forever paint outside. You know.
Self-taught, teaching yourself how to go as you go. Did you have lessons?
Of course, in school, we had kind of art lessons on quite a wide scale, you know. So I always wanted to be the best, and I was the best.
So you had a natural gift of just drawing.
Yeah. So of course I made up my mind, okay, I'm going to study for art on Prague Academy.
Yeah.
And then everything started to turn into a nightmare. In the year before, no, I would be actually lying. So I applied for the exams. They took 4 days, and the choice was very, very strict. From 80 applicants, they would only take 4 people per semester. So you really they had to be good. And I haven't done it. So I decided to go and work with my dad for 1 year, that at least bring a little bit of money home. And a year later, I went to do this examination again. In that year, there was a countrywide competition in my category, and I won a first prize. So you can imagine, I thought, wow, now, you know,
Wow.
I will do the exam.
In the whole country, did the first prize?
Yeah, in the whole country.
And the category is, what, is it landscapes or what did it
I can't remember, Chris, but it was my age category.
Okay,
Say,
your age category.
there was like from 12 to 15, from 15 further, you know what I mean?
Super, so you're
So
number
that's
one
what-
in the country. Eh?
The road is open.
Yeah.
You won't believe it. I haven't done the examination again.
Do you think there was politics involved?
Of course it was politics.
Like the same art world.
Because my father was not a member of Communistic Party, and for children, their parents were not with the regime. It was impossible to go and study.
The doors closed.
Yeah. So
But
when
you knew you have to do this. Now you
Yeah.
knew you were good. Yeah.
So you see, when I came back, my art teacher actually realized there is something very fishy going on. So he made a big write-up into a newspaper. How is it possible that people who award a first prize to a child, that were the same people in art school, suddenly won't let him to finish the examination?
Yeah.
And they realized they made a boo-boo. So they offered me immediately another post, another school, without any exams, but that school was more towards jewelry design and jewelry making, and I didn't want it.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, just shove it.
So that Vasek that said shove,
Yeah.
it was already
Yeah.
there from the
No,
beginning.
just shove it. One day I will do it anyway. And from then, I did all sorts of things. I would work in a small little factory, we did work with perspex, cut little stands for photographs, and little like holders for wine glasses, and it was creative. I was doing window dressing. I was a lifesaver on a public swimming pool, and I could hardly swim myself, not that I can actually rescue somebody. I think I had the shortest job from most of people. I was employed for one night. I was a night watchman in a Prague zoo with a gun and a torch.
A real gun.
A real gun.
Super.
And walking, or unless there were these things that put animals to sleep. You know?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I had to walk 3 times during the night or 4 times, check if the gates are closed, if the lions and the leopards and all these hyenas and everything is fine. And the next morning I resigned.
Why?
God, how can I walk through the night looking animals, you shining torches, and they're like, what is going on, you want to sleep, leave us alone. And so it was a horrible job.
Night shifts is not, I did night shift security.
And I went to a swimming pool one day. We have this big river that's even celebrated in Czech composer Antonín Dvořák that calls Moldava, and he composed a music how the river starts from small little stream and going towards the Prague and end up in the sea. Anyway, these little swimming pools, they were like in that river, like on a wooden plateaus, with different depth of the basins where you could swim 1 meter 10, 1 meter 20, 2 meters, 3 meters. And it was kind of an overcast day, so 5 minutes was sunshine, next 5 minutes started to rain, then again sunshine. And always when it started to rain, everybody pick up the towel and ran under the little roof, waiting. Oh, it stopped, they all came back again, put the towel down, sat them again. And I met a beautiful girl. Her name was, or is still, Magdalena Molinari. And in those days, the fashion was these false hairpieces, And I look at this chick, and he goes to one of the pools, took out those pins out, took the hairpiece, put that next to the swimming pool, dived in and swam a little bit, and get out, still wipes the water out of the face, the hair like this, pick up the thing again. The pins were here on her shoulder strap on the bra, and goes tip, 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 and then she was beautiful again. She started walking. I started giggling, and she stopped next to me. She said, "Do you find it funny?" I said, "No, not funny. I could see this a hairpiece, but I mean, who would do that?" She said, "Well, I'll do anything I want," she says. And so we start chatting and chatting and chatting. 2 hours later comes the question, "Can you ice skate like me?" Well, everybody can ice skate. But
did you ask her? Or she asked
no,
you?
she asked me.
She asked you. Oh, okay.
Because she actually said, "I'm an ice skater." Czech ice chow, I skate for a living. So she said to me, "Can you ice skate?" I said, "Yeah, I can ice skate quite well." She said, "Because we are short of guys. Don't you want to come tomorrow, and show what you can, how can you skate? Maybe they take you." So I said, "You have a deal."
So I'm assuming everybody skated there in your country because of winter. Everybody.
It's a winter sport.
You grew up with skating. Okay. Anyway, yeah.
So I went the next day. Show them I could turn and twist and do a little pirouette and a little jump that time. Yeah. Okay, so you have a job.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Nice.
So I became an ice skater. Okay. We did like a shows, crystal something, I couldn't remember, blah, blah, blah. And we traveled to Poland once a year, to Bulgaria, all the other communistic countries, just not to the West. And then I was about 18. The first call came to the army. I said, "Army? Oh, no way. I will never, ever go to army. I'd rather slit my throat, but I'm not going to army."
So can I just ask something? When you were skater, did you continue doing art, or did you put that shop?
No, I left it.
Left it for a while.
I suddenly had fun and, nice girls and good job, and I forget about it.
Good, forget it.
Totally.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, then comes like news that there used to be, and she is still very famous, a Peruvian singer, Emma Sumac, who had the widest voice range from the deepest tone to the highest.
Peruvian.
Peruvian.
Okay.
Her name is Emma Sumac.
So she was famous, world famous.
Oh, she was world famous.
Oh.
And she came to Prague to do a performance. That morning we had rehearsals. I had my papers for the army. So after rehearsals we go to the dressing room. I take my boot off, I give it to Magdalena. We became very good buddies. I hold my leg like this. Hit me.
So you had to go to the army, you had no choice?
I had to go to the army for 2 years. I said, "Hit me." She said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Magda, just fucking hit me." And she kwarra my knee.
On your knee?
And you could just look, the knee was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Just want to get out of
to the doctor. They put my leg in a plaster from ankle right up to here for 7 weeks. So I didn't have to go to the church to the army. But the same evening, I was sitting in that new hall and watching Ima Sumak singing. It was an amazing experience. So again...
But no ice skating then for you as well, because your leg is...
No ice skating, that's fun. I watched the rehearsals and, 7 weeks and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Started skating again. Yeah.
So you skipped the army, you got out of it?
No, I didn't. The next year, the call came to army again. No, I went. Somewhere far into Slovakia. It was a nightmare, actually. They took us there with this big truck, opened a big barn full of straw. The truck shined the lights in. They throw over your head an empty sack that you had to stuff. That was your bed. Okay. And that was your bed for 2 years. You kept on stuffing it more and more and more and more.
Straw. And that's your bag.
About that thick, and it had to be square.
See?
So in the corners we pulled down sticks. That is like really 90 degrees, So I was for 2 years in the army. Actually, I was there for 26 months.
But what unit were you? You were the...
I was with the, what you call it, they fly?
The parachute you told me, I think.
Yeah, Air Force.
Air
I
Force.
was at the Air Force.
Okay.
But I was a parachute.
Was that a tough unit?
No, not really.
Okay.
The
Because
training...
here in South Africa, if you're a parachute unit, it's quite a...
The training was tough.
Oh.
But after the first year, everything settled down because the new recruits come and they get fucked up, as we did the year before. You know what I mean? Maybe I shouldn't use the word fucked up.
No, we can... In this podcast, we swear if we want to swear at us. But was it for you... Was it a good or bad experience or mixed experience, the army? Did it change you for a long time?
The beginning, Chris, was I thought I'm going to really kill myself.
Yeah.
The way they handle you, it was like not even human, I tried anything possible. I would wet my long johns, which was like together thick with the top, and I would go under cold shower in winter and wet it, totally wet. And I would sit outside in winter till it frozen me. I wanted to die.
Yeah. But this is how I get to know you. You are very one-track minded when you get into something, and you're very resolute. When you decide something, you're very motivated.
I didn't even have a sniff the bloody next day.
It just didn't work.
Odds were against me. Then I was given an order to make a fire on a barracks. I didn't know where is a chopper. I didn't know where is a wood. I didn't know nothing. And I had a pair of scissors in my rucksack. So I took the scissors, I said, okay, and I wanted to blind myself. So I plucked the scissors, but I just missed it. It went past the eyeball there, and I just started running.
So you actually went to blind yourself in one eye?
I just started running and running and running, and then I don't know. And I woke up the next day, I was in the hospital.
Yeah. You must have been very unhappy.
Yeah, I had a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, probably. So you had that sensitive type of thing always?
Yeah.
I was always like so small.
They probably gave me some sedatives. I just passed away. Then they transferred me to a real big army hospital. And I did one wrong thing. I didn't do many of them in my life, but I did, and I confessed to the doctor that I'm gay.
Okay, so that time it was obviously terrible everywhere.
And then the nightmare started.
Then people went after you.
I was in a room with a bed with wire on, no handles, nothing, no spoons, no knives, no shoelaces, nothing. Okay. And every second day, nurse would come, injection, gave you bucket, and you went to a cinema, and they showed you pornographic films.
So they tried to turn you?
And you just vomited, and vomited.
That's
and
horrible.
Vomited.
So then when did you know that you were gay? From what age? Or did you always just know? Did you always like...
Maybe that could be a story, if people like it, to another podcast.
Okay, because that's interesting. Because I'm wondering this
Yeah.
that you try to blind yourself if the secret you kept was maybe contributed to this crisis that you said. Well, that made you sad, and then when you confessed maybe that you were gay, you were released from that pressure.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I was just wondering to tie that in. Okay, but
No, that would be actually a chapter on its own.
yeah, another one. You got lots of stories.
Yeah. I don't know how long do you want to make this?
There's no rules. More or less.
But when I came back from army, suddenly there were no friends around me, because in that time, in those 2 years, they closed the Czech ice show.
Yeah.
And all my friends went somewhere to another ice shows. Most of them to Germany, England, because we were like cheap labor as the Yugoslavian people are.
You're skipping too far ahead now. This is the important part.
Yeah.
That they showed you pornography. They tried to force to turn you.
Yeah.
And what happened there? Did you just play along, or did you just say, "Fuck you"?
Wait, what?
Oh, you skipped the part where they said you admitted that you were gay, and they showed you this pornographic films.
Yeah.
How long did that last?
Good 2 months.
Sure. And then they just what then?
Then they sent me back to the army camp with a report from a doctor. Luckily enough for me, there were 2 buddies of mine. They came to fetch me with the guns and everything. Thank God I didn't have the handcuffs. We opened the letter, we wrote the report, and all what they put in, that I'm homosexual, and if things are not going to go in a good way, they can use a force.
Yeah. Hectic.
Yeah. That was
No compassion.
no. But soon after that, I was transferred from the original place in Slovakia to Prague. So when I was in Prague, I started to feel much better.
I think get out of that horrible situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you finished the whole army thing. You had to finish 2 years.
I actually even did 2 months more afterwards, because if you did another 2 months, they didn't call you for training for the next 5 years. If you didn't, you would go every year for training, every year. So I've been here 24 already. Another 2 months is nothing. I had the canteen, I was selling boys cigarettes and cokes and this and that and that, That went quickly. But 2 months was nothing.
That must have made you angry, though, the way they treated you. There must have been a lot of anger. I would have been pissed off.
It's difficult to actually say what it made me, because it is a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And also when you are young, you think otherwise than I think now. I did have to go through it, otherwise I wouldn't. And
you just have to deal with it.
And it's the past. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
After the army.
Yeah, and after the army, as I said, no friends. Actually, the lady who was in our office, her name was Hannah. She could speak lots of languages. Said, Vasek, don't worry. We'll write to the English company, Holiday on Ice. We'll write to the Deutsches Eistheater, Germany. Maybe there's a space for you. So she wrote 2 letters, one to the England. They were full. And in Germany, West Germany, wow, was a space.
Holiday on Ice, so this is a company.
Holiday on Ice was English company.
Okay.
Yeah, they had 2 companies actually. Okay, there was another one in Austria, Wiener Ice Review it called. But there was one in Germany that's called Deutsches Eistheater. And most of my friends were actually with that company.
But you had obviously had a natural talent for ice skating, so you must have been
I
good.
skated very well actually, yeah. So, from one day to another, chuk train, and I was in Germany, like Alice in a Wonderland.
Much better, eh? Suddenly your life is good again.
Unbelievable.
But so you could get out of, but that was obviously the communist part of Germany.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what was funny? In that little coupe in the train was a girl opposite to me. After a while, her name is Katja. After a while, we find out that we're both going to skate for the same company. And I'm friends with her till now.
Wow, amazing.
She was in South Africa for a couple of years. She married a chap from Johannesburg. She came to live here, but after the Velvet Revolution in 1965, when there was a restitution in Czech Republic and it became only Czech Republic, she went back.
Well, you must send her this podcast's link and then you say, hello Katja.
Yeah.
Katja.
Katja Detlefs.
Nice. Great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then you went to Germany?
And I went to Germany and I started to skate there, which was like, pity people don't understand my language, but sometimes the description of situation really sounds the best in my language.
Okay.
You know, it was like, wow. Anyway.
I just want to say we don't have any time limit here because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But every half an hour we need to take a little break because that camera, thank you for sponsoring my wonderful camera, Pierre from London. But it only takes half an hour at a time. So every half an hour I have to stop and then we're going to make coffee, then we continue. But we're only on 25 minutes now.
I'm already about 25, you know.
That when you were in Germany?
In my lifetime.
Okay.
I went up to a 25. And I'm now 77, so there's another 2 25s.
Okay, and this is the short version.
Huh?
Okay, so in Germany, with the ice skating company, and life is good.
That was absolutely amazing.
How old were you then? Like 20s?
I was there. Well, no, I came back from army. I was 22. I was probably in Prague for about at least a year and a half, 23. I think about 24 something.
Okay, that's a good time of life.
Yeah, 24 because I was there for 6 years. And when I was 30, I came to South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 years.
Did you do 6 years in that company, the ice skating company? Did you do 6 years ice skating in that company?
Yeah.
Must have been wonderful.
It was fantastic. I wish that every young person can have that kind of youth as I had. Nothing to worry. Look beautiful every night with beautiful costumes, you know. People clapping you. Look beautiful during the day because all what you did, you shopped for new clothes. They paid quite well. You went to a restaurant for coffee, cakes, dinners. And at night to a nightclub.
And travel, see the world.
And travel for free. See the world.
That sounds amazing.
You finished the ice show. It was tough. We had lots of shows. Okay, we had Monday 1, Tuesday 1, Wednesday 2, Thursday 1, Friday 3, Saturday 3, and Sunday 3.
You must become good if you have so many shows.
Yeah, we had a lot. What did we have? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 or 13 shows a week. You know? So you actually, when you had 3 shows, you were in an ice rink already at like 1:30, hour before the show, and you left 12 o'clock at night.
And parties, I'm assuming you had lots of parties.
We never had supper before. You can't really skate well with full stomach. Then you go for dinner, and then you hit the nightclub. And you come home 4 o'clock in the morning. You know.
Okay, we're going to take a short break for day and restart. So we're at the Germany phase, and we had 28 minutes here, so I'm taking a short break. We're going to make some more coffee and come back soon.
Fine.
Okay, we're back, and we are with in your 20s in Germany, ice skating all over, doing shows.
We are already in Germany. Yeah.
We covered how many years? 25 years in 25 minutes, more or less.
Yeah. No, that was a good time in Germany. Absolutely. Yeah. They say often that the grass is greener on the other side. But it is true. The grass was greener on the other side. You know.
Yeah.
God. We could hardly buy anything by us.
Oh yeah, the difference between you and communist Germany, there was a big difference.
If you saw a queue somewhere in vegetable shop, you knew they had potatoes, you stand queue. There you could buy banana at 12 o'clock at night on a corner cafe.
Yeah.
You know. That's why when my mother came to visit me, I mean, she was just like, she could have a heart attack any minute. You know.
So banana was kind of an exotic thing then.
Yeah.
So the way you grew up then in Prague, so it was very simple life, very simple food, basic stuff. Okay.
Very basic. Yeah. But anyway, as I said, the job was wonderful, they paid well. What they also did, that in the interval between the first half and second half, they quickly spray the ice with them. Not spray, we sprayed it here, but they had an ice machine, what they call. They flattened it nicely, quickly froze it, so it was fresh new ice. And then big clothing shops and clothing businesses would have Modeschau. I don't have to translate it. Mode is a fashion.
Yeah. Fashion show.
Fashion show.
Okay.
Yeah,
on ice.
On ice. You know, like a catwalk, this would be on ice.
And you would perform around this.
Yeah, so they would always have choose about 5, 6 girls, all depending how many items they had to show, 3, 4 guys. For that you did get paid extra. And after, say, the 3 weeks of that, you could buy those clothes for half a price.
Interesting. Yeah. This is what I want to ask you. I didn't know, like fashion that existed in a communist part of the world.
No, not by us. I know it did.
It did?
Yeah.
And how did you young people feel growing up under communism then about the West? Did you want to go there? Did you feel like you're missing out?
Because you don't know something else, you don't miss it.
So you didn't miss it, you didn't think about it.
No.
You just went out of your lives.
Yeah.
And you had fashion shows, but out of Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, the only thing the girls did miss was the pantyhose.
So you didn't have...
Because like we would have pantyhose in a shop, like you could only buy 1 pair. And they would soon have a hose. They could get a pantyhose out of an automat on the wall, you know.
Oh, yes.
Throw a few coins in a new pantyhose. You never bothered to actually stitch them or put a nail varnish on that leather eye that was running down. You know,
so but did you get info from the rest of the world, information? And
very seldom.
Very seldom. So you didn't know what you're missing anyway?
Yeah, as far as press, you know, magazines, that was all diverted to the Russian side. Most of the information, the music, it was all controlled in a way, all controlled.
So you guys never felt like, I wish I could go to New York or something?
You could only dream about it.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, money, you know, you hardly...
And movies, did you get international movies? Oh, not really.
Also very much Russian.
Russian, okay.
All the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like almost education. They were brainwashing you constantly, you know, constantly. For the country. Everything is done for the country. You know. But if you had some friends in a tobacco shop or newspaper shop, he would keep the Time magazine under the counter for you. So it's not that everybody was like blind, you know. And that people talk together. We were not like walking with blinkers on our eyes. We did not. And also,
people talk, obviously. Yeah.
People talk.
But do you think being a gay man that time in communism was especially hard? Was it frowned upon, looked down onto, or was it? How was that? Did you have any lovers in that time when you were young?
It was. What was it really?
Could you be open about it?
No.
Not at all.
No. It was not open. So if I was born 53 plus 8 is 61. The law came through in 1961. That it's now fine.
Okay.
Because I had a friend who was in a government. He was the main pusher. He was actually my lover. Older man, much older man than me. And he was pushing, and he gave me the certificate of it for my 18 years birthday.
Wow.
That from now on,
It's
the police can't just bust you, you know, whenever they feel like. But they carried on anyway. You know.
It's prejudice like this.
Yeah.
This country is also,
Yeah.
when I grew up as well, on Afrikaners, it's almost like mafia.
Most of this life was underground. It was always underground.
I see a lot of my friends and a lot of artists, gay men, I see they have trauma. They're still struggling with the trauma of being persecuted for who they were, you know. I'm a straight man, I don't understand it, but I can kind of understand it because even when I grew up on Afrikaners, they were always, you're not allowed to speak about it, you're not allowed to be that. It was terrible, the world changed so much. And I think growing up of being persecuted just for who you are, that trauma, I think for many people, it never goes away. Yeah. I can see some of my friends, wonderful people still struggling with those issues. But luckily we're in an era now where that is like gone.
I don't think I made myself a big headache about it. In a way, I had a relationship with any sex
Yeah.
till about, till I came to South Africa.
But you also you don't have a victim mentality. You have a strong going forward mentality.
Like I slept with Magda since I met her.
Yeah.
You know, and with other girls too. One is young, you get your rocks off.
Yeah.
When there's a chance to get your rocks off.
So that was also going on all the time,
Yeah.
that part.
All the time.
Yeah. And at this stage, I know you don't use any alcohol. When you were young, did you drink also? And
I never drank really because my father did like a little bit of booze. And it always created troubles in our family. And I gave myself this thing, you never ever drink. I never drank.
Because we also always get this picture, like especially people from Eastern Europe, they drink a lot. The movies also portray as hard drinkers, Russians. But I'm thinking like because their lives are hard, and it's the same in this country, you see the farm workers and they have hard lives to drink more because you have to get through it.
Yeah.
So was that part of the culture in general that people drink a lot?
You know, if I would go deeper into my childhood and the way I grew up, I could talk for hours and hours and hours.
I'm digressing now.
It's not that. It's just like, now that I'm telling you things, it's like
Coming up.
so much. There's just so much.
We're going to have Vasek part 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's so much.
Okay, let's go on. Beside, I'm going to get to the part where you got into Africa. How did this idea come to you that you want to come to Africa?
It was in a way almost like, what you say? I had no other choice. Yeah.
Did you dream about Africa?
There was only, I had choice. I could either go to South Africa or I could go to Australia.
But why those two countries?
I'll tell you now, because skating in Germany was wonderful.
Yes.
Funny how you actually come to the truth years and years and years later. And I really came to the truth a couple months ago, you know, because I had this recurring dream that I'm back in the ice show and they don't want me anymore, you know. And I kept on saying, every time I had a dream, I said, why, you know, why do I keep on dreaming about it? But to actually tell you what happened, I eventually was fired from that company. So when I was fired, I had to return home in 24 hours. Luckily enough, I always had these women goddesses, they took care of me, you know, when I was really down in a gutter.
But why did you get fired?
I did get fired because I kept on, I didn't have my mouth closed and say yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. Because there was quite a number of Czech people. There was good 15 up to 20 Czech people. So what we had there, we had an older person who helped with the language. He helped from the beginning. His son also skated in that ice show. His name was Boris Millet. Now what he did, he used to write reports about us. How do we behave?
You have to walk the line.
That would go back to Prague, to the agency that made possible the contract between the German agency, that's called Prago Sport. And if we would write anything bad about you, or just say, I don't want this person anymore, you didn't get out again.
Politics again.
Once a year you went home for holiday for 1 month.
A lot of people use that power, I'm assuming.
So that was the politics.
Right,
He actually fired me.
So you wrote something.
A guy who, in a way, owed the ice show came to me and said, look, Vasek, I'm really sorry. But you know where it comes from.
So it was a personal thing?
Yeah, it was a personal thing. So I said, look, it's fine, Mr. Schilling. I know where it comes from. I washed my makeup off.
But it must have come as a bit of a shock, though.
You see, they told me before the show started, they came and they asked me, Vasek, in an interval, you must go to the office. There is something, they want to tell you something. And I could feel it, what it is. So I said, no, I'll go now. I have 5 minutes down. So I went to the office. There was Mr. Millet sitting, Mr. Schilling sitting, and Mr. Millet said, you're fired.
Oh. Must have been
Okay.
bad.
Are you going to skate the show? I said, no, of course not. came back to the dressing room, took my first costume off, washed my face, put my clothes on, went to the audience to watch the show. Which was all fun, there was entertainment. The next morning, it hit at me. Now, I became the little communistic boy growing up. Fuck, now I have 24 hours to go home.
So that was the law, 24 hours.
24 hours. Otherwise, I'm going to be with police escorted back home.
And you have to leave this life
What
behind.
will I do? You know, what will I do? We didn't have to save. We were paid every week. I hardly had any money. But I stayed with the most amazing woman in a small pension. I told her what happened. She went to beg for me to the ice show. They said, no way, you must go home. And Anna said, no, you're not going home. Stay with me. Stay with me. I'll take care of you. You know, no problem. So I stayed over a month and a half in one small room. Okay.
Illegally?
Illegally.
Okay.
Okay, I had access to the whole house. We were watching TV. She fed me, you know, everything. It was during the winter over Christmas. Every doorbell down at the bottom, I thought, that's the police now, you know. Then Hannah said, Vasek, you have to get some fresh air. Come, I'll take you out for drive to No Man's Land, which is a 100-meter stretch, used to be, between Holland and Germany. And nothing can happen to you on that land. They're going to arrest you. So she would roll her car on the yard. I would lie on the back seat. I would insist for her to cover me with a blanket. She covered it, like it was a package lying. And we drove to No Man's Land. They would go for walks. Then back in the car,
it's a bit of freedom.
No, it was like crazy.
Sure,
you know.
that's strange. So there's no rules there.
No.
Interesting.
And I went to South African embassy in Köln with night train. Spoke to the ambassador. He looked my passport. He said, I'm sorry, Mr. So-and-so, but the only way you can actually, the only thing you can do is to emigrate.
Okay, so then you would try to go back home and I caught you.
If I would go back home,
Yeah.
I don't really know what. They could do nothing to me, really, you know. But I didn't want to go back home already. Then I made up my mind. I don't want to go back home.
Okay.
At all.
And your family ties?
Well,
Just say this is life.
this is my life.
Yeah.
I spoke to my mom about it. She said, you must do what you decide to do is the best for you.
So you made a quick decision.
We will all miss you, but you must look out yourself. So if you have the chance, go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a quick decision.
But in the meantime, I kept contact with the Asha because there were also a few kids from South Africa. And Bernie, the girl from Johannesburg, said, Vasek, we have Asha in South Africa. I'm going to write a letter to this lady. We'll see if we can get you a job. Okay? She wrote. Answer came back from Marjorie Chase from Durban. She gave me a contract for 5 years. So at least now I was sitting with something in my hand, still in that one room, okay, and I knew that I can go to South Africa. But
what did you think about South Africa at that time? What was the view that in your head? Because there must have been a lot of politics and propaganda about
I didn't know about nothing about
didn't
it.
know anything.
No.
Okay.
And what the kids told me, it was like in Europe, shopping malls and all that kind of stuff, you know.
That's interesting that it's Africans, this is interesting, South Africans were actually in West Germany ice skating. That for me is interesting.
Yeah, they were there.
Okay. Look, that's another story also.
Yeah, anyway, I did have to take my passport, the contract, send it to South African embassy in Pretoria, and then I was waiting. I don't know how long it took, say 2-3 weeks. And one morning, Hannah is knocking on my door. Vasek, there's a letter from Pretoria. Open it. There, we open it, of course, all in English. I couldn't speak a word of English that time.
Nothing
No,
English.
no. You do there. Call a friend who spoke English. Come, Maria, come, translate for us. They gave me visa for 6 months.
Okay. That was your in.
Now I could go to South Africa.
Without of speaking a word of English.
But I had not a cent.
Yeah, how do you get there?
How will I get there? And of course, this lady began to know me just like my mom. Said, I know you don't have money, my darling, but leave everything to me.
Sure. She's an angel, eh? She was.
She went to town, she came back with a ticket. You are flying tonight, 9:30.
Just like that.
Fuck.
So you must have been excited.
Back.
No, but did you had a place to stay on the other side? All that. Okay.
So back. I had 2 suitcases. She took me to the airport in Frankfurt. Put my suitcases through. Come and say final goodbye to Hannah. And she said again, why are you so miserable? Come on, new life is starting. I said, but you must have some money, still a little bit. I gave you some pocket money. I said, yeah, but I had 2 suitcases and I had to pay for extra weight. But what you have in those suitcases? I said, well, my things, high boots. She said, you don't need them. You need T-shirts and floppies. In South Africa, it's warm. She went, they sent the suitcases back. She opened it like this, packed me 1 suitcase, closed it up and said, it's with me. If you need it, phone, write it, I will send it to you.
You think you're going to get cold in South Africa?
There is a suitcase and go. No, off I went. I sit in a plane. Those days it was very different, 1972.
You can smoke in the planes and then...
Yeah, you could smoke, and only they start entertainment when you were up music. And then there was a main film somewhere down there, do you remember? And the first piece of music they played was from Antonin Dvořák, which he wrote in New York in assignment, My Country. And I just started let it cry.
No, you're leaving your country.
Yeah, the lights were down there, were getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Oh.
Then I watched some movies.
On your own,
Then I fell to sleep. The next morning I was in Johannesburg.
How was it getting off a shock, or was it like...
There were people waiting for me. The combi took me to Pretoria. And I was there.
And your first impressions of South Africa, what did you think?
It was hot.
Hot.
I left in winter, and this was like, February. It was hot. And a red soil in Pretoria, and jacaranda trees, The only cool place was the ice rink. There was Oceans at the ice rink on a corner. I don't know if it exists still. Small little round ice rink. And the show we started was a Mother Goose.
What did you, almost immediately jump into the shows? Was it like...
Yeah. I quickly learned a few numbers that I can start working. And then become sick. The change with the weather. I had a flu. And I was sad. And I just wanted to go back home. I don't care what they do to me. I just want to go back home.
You want to snow?
To my mother. I had some few nice pieces of jewellery I bought in Persia when we were there. I sold everything and I had enough money for tickets. And I was going to go home. There was a friend who became later a very good friend who did our music always, Lenny Taylor. He's also somewhere up there by now. And he would come every night, because I couldn't skate. He would come every night to the room, Hotel La Monte, up the street. Brought me something to eat, and I would sit next to my bed and talk to me in language I didn't understand. But I felt that he means it well,
Was this language English or
Afrikaans?
English?
I can't remember if he spoke
just
English.
spoke,
But English.
He was a friend.
I could feel it, that it's a good vibe. Yeah, and the flu stopped, then I started to skate again. And I could say hello and goodbye, and how are you, and all that. And slowly with the language, I just settled in. 6 months later, renewed my visa for another 6 months, and again another 6 months for 5 years. And after 5 years, I was entitled to a permanent residence.
Yeah. I think, what we're going to do is I want to split this podcast in 2. Yeah. And I think this could be the first part. You arrived in South Africa, you made your first shows, you learned the language a little bit, and you got your residence part. Yeah. So can we continue with the South Africa part in the next show?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make it too long.
This is like a nice ending.
This is a nice ending. So we're almost at an hour. Thank you for listening. Once again, please support me. Tune into the next part 2 of Vasek Matousek. He's got an amazing, interesting story. This was, for me, it was very entertaining. I think people are really going to like this. And I'm going to try and have this up by today already, this podcast. And please go to my website, freewildworld.com. Check it out. I do a lot of things on there. I also write short stories on there. I do a bit of songwriting. I'm also an artist. I've got my paintings. And the other important thing I want to tell you guys that are listening, I'm busy editing videos. I went on this amazing journey in 2016 to Mozambique and Malawi, Africa, with lots of crazy, interesting people. I'm editing vlogs about that, which I'm uploading because it's short vlogs. I can get them on the internet, one a week. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out the videos that comes up there. This is my passion in life, besides writing songs and making art, is telling people stories and using new media as a tool to entertain people and tell stories. I love doing this and I want to keep on doing this. I want to do it better. I need better equipment and this is my life, this is what I do. So if you can get it in your heart to give me a little bit of support, it would be amazing. Otherwise, it's for free, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you. This is part 1. Cheerio, everybody. Thank you for watching my vlog or listening to my podcast. If you liked it, you can support me at freewildworld.com/support. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and to my podcast.